What's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And for a few minutes, I want to talk a little bit about the Saints possibly drafting a quarterback in the first round. Now, you probably heard some of the media news going around the New Orleans Saints talking about Drew Brees signing a contract with NBC. I even did a video about that, so check it out. Once this video is over, Drew Brees signed a contract with NBC. It's looking like more than likely that Drew Brees is going to have his last season this year. Don't look like it's going to go into that second season of this 2-year contract that he has. And now, you got a lot of people wondering, is the New Orleans Saints going to be, going out here looking for a possible quarterback, not to, replace Drew Brees. I think a lot of people are saying that's going to be Taysom Hill, but actually drafting a quarterback that could possibly be a backup to Taysom Hill or even compete for the starting job. And will that happen in the first round? Well, the New Orleans Saints, they've been a little bit more busy talking and interviewing quarterbacks than times in the past. I mean, the New Orleans Saints, they will interview a quarterback every now and then, but I think they were very confident that they actually had their starter in Drew Brees. So they usually just go to free agency and stuff like that and get guys that are unrestricted free agents to back up, be a third string or a practice squad guy, guys like, JT Barrett or something like that. But the New Orleans Saints are really doing their due diligence. And we know that they talked to Jordan Love a couple weeks ago, but now they talked to former North Texas Mean Green quarterback Mason Fine. Now, Mason Fine is a guy that a lot of people don't know that much about. And to be quite honest with you, Who That Nation, I didn't know that much about him. I had to do some research, but it turns out that he was a 4-year starter at North Texas. I'm familiar with North Texas because I lived out in Dallas for like a couple years. I'm familiar with the Denton area, but he started all 4 years. He started all 4 years at North Texas. He accumulated 12,505 yards, 93 touchdowns, 34 interceptions as a 4-year starter. He has over 100 touchdowns if you add, the bowl games. And he is a 2-time offensive player of the year for Conference USA. So this guy has a lot of skins on the wall. And I know a lot of people are thinking, well, he went to North Texas, not that big of a deal. He didn't go to a big name school, not a sexy school, but neither did Jordan Love. Jordan Love didn't go to one of these power conference schools. He went to Utah State, but he seems to be on the lips of everybody in the Who That Nation, including myself. But Mason Fine is a guy who actually trains with Drew Brees. Right before COVID-19 came out, the whole pandemic situation. Drew Brees, along with Drew Brees' trainer, tied, I can't think of his name. I don't know if it's Durkick or something like that. But anyway, he trained with Drew Brees and Drew Brees' trainer. And, a lot of people are comparing him to Drew Brees and some of the things that he does well. Number one, he's extremely accurate. He's extremely accurate. He's a guy who gets the ball out of his hands and it get where it needs to be. And also, like, he's one of those, on-time type guys, just like Drew Brees. We know Drew Brees doesn't have the arm strength. Drew Brees never really had arm strength. But he was one of those guys that can actually, count on his timing, the receivers being where they need to be, and the ball just being there with perfect precision. It's the same thing with Mason Fine. But one thing, like Drew Brees that Mason Fine has, and a lot of people kind of raise their eyebrows at, is height. Mason Fine is 5'10". I think he's around 210, 215 or something like that. So, that old saying, can the quarterback see over the offensive line? I mean, we heard the same thing with Kyler Murray. We heard the same thing about Russell Wilson, and we heard the same thing about Drew Brees. I think we're coming into a generation where that kind of stuff doesn't matter, because the way that the offensive coordinators and the head coaches are drawing up some of these plays, they are taking into account that these guys are I guess they say height challenged or whatever like that. But anyway, I don't really put too much stock into that. I mean, we seen guys in the past, like Doug Flutie. If you want to go back further, Fran Tarkenton. they've always hated on short quarterbacks, but they always exceeded expectations. You can even throw Baker Mayfield in that if you want to, because he had a struggling season last year, but his rookie season, I mean, he played really well, and I'm pretty sure he's going to bounce back with the new head coach who was the offensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings. But I think the New Orleans Saints are going to draft a quarterback in the first round. I know a lot of people are, saying that I'm tripping and saying that, that I don't think this is going to happen. But I really feel like the New Orleans Saints are going to draft a quarterback in the first round. I mean, I look at how the New Orleans Saints could possibly go and they could get someone in free agency. I mean, you got Cam Newton available. You got Jameis Winston available. Man, you have so many other quarterbacks that are available that can serve as their third string quarterback, but they chose not to. I feel like if you look at the fact that they actually are video conferencing some of these young quarterbacks, and you combine that with the fact that they have not signed anybody in free agency, I think the Saints are going to get a rookie quarterback. Now, is it going to happen in the first round? I feel like it is if the guy that they want is available. I feel like the Saints will aggressively move up to try to get someone like Jordan Love. And if they're interviewing somebody like Mason Fine, they probably are looking to get somebody in the later rounds. I don't think Mason Fine is going to be one of those guys that's going to be like in the top 3 rounds. Of course, I mean, you got to go Jalen Hurts in there also. But when you look at Mason Fine, he's a guy that didn't even get invited to the combine. So I think the Saints are looking at him as a project. And we all know that Sean Payton loves a project. I mean, we know about when he was the offensive coordinator out in Dallas, right? He wanted Tony Romo. I mean, if Drew Brees probably would have accepted going to Miami, Tony Romo probably would have been a quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. Man, that's just the way Sean Payton rolls. He's always trying to find those diamonds in the rough to really prove how much of a genius that he is. So it would not surprise me in the later rounds if he drafts someone like Mason Fine, or if Mason Fine doesn't get drafted at all, he brings him in as an unrestricted free agent to be that third string quarterback, just to be like, oh man, y'all slept on this guy, but I'm going to show you what this guy is all about. But once again, I think they are going to draft a quarterback in the first round. If it's not Jordan Love, most likely it's probably going to be someone else that they are going to aggressively move up to try to get. Not buying into that whole Alvin Kamara trade scenario with the Dolphins to move up to get Tua Tagovailoa. I think that's just too far-fetched. But I do think that the Saints are going to be aggressive in the first round if they see a quarterback that they want. But I would love to hear from you. What do you think about the Saints possibly drafting a quarterback in the first round? Do you feel like it's necessary? And if they draft a quarterback in the first round, what do you think that's saying about the career and the future of Taysom Hill? Comment down below, like and share this video. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search the State of the Saints podcast, and previous episodes are available right here on YouTube or Facebook. Facebook.com, you can search the State of the Saints podcast. Everybody be safe out there. Hope everybody's having a happy and productive day, evening, or night, wherever you're watching this video, and I hope your family is safe as well. Till next time, all I gotta say is, who dat?